James Kamlum and his wife Kono were born to Christian families in northern Myanmar. Shortly after their marriage, they moved to Chiang Mai, Thailand, where James taught at Chiang Mai Bible Institute for 5 years. Kono worked as a typist for Robert Morse in translating the Bible into their native Rawang language. During this time, James began to work as a recorder and programmer for a radio ministry in the Rawang language that was broadcast back into Myanmar, which was called Burma at this time. In 1985, James and Kono moved to Cincinnati to attend Cincinnati Christian University. They stayed for 2 years while James earned his degree and became part of our church family here at White Oak during that time. When they returned to Chiang Mai Bible Institute in 1987, James continued his teaching duties, and their first 2 children were born in Thailand. Their goal to return to their native Myanmar and do ministry there was fulfilled in 1990. They moved to the city of Penwillan to teach at Myanmar Bible Institute. In addition to his duties as an instructor, he served as academic dean and vice president. He was a professor there for 26 years until his death in November of 2016. James continued the radio ministry after he returned to Myanmar. Upon his death, his wife and son Matthew continued to produce the daily teaching, singing, and worship radio programs in 2 different Rawang languages and broadcast them back into northern Myanmar. White Oak helped provide upgrades to their equipment. James and Kono helped start a church among the Nepali people who live in a large village near Penwillan. The Nepali families had moved there in the 1950s and had most of their wealth taken away by the military government that took over in 1962. Kono continues to support this church by helping to pay salary for the pastor. The church has started a preschool for the community. Kono has worked to help provide a playground, a church building, running water, and a toilet on the church grounds with help from White Oak. Since James' death, besides continuing the radio ministry with Matthew, Kono has continued to work with women's groups from her church by leading retreats for women at smaller churches nearby and providing food for large events like their 3-day revivals or lengthy Bible studies through her church. Through White Oak's long-term support of their ministry, we have seen wonderful things happen for God's kingdom in Myanmar. The Nepali community has benefited from your generosity, and people are seeing the love of Christ through your benevolence.